Visitor tracking. Today I'll be showing you some of the administrative setup that can be done with the module. We'll cover how to check in and check out a visitor. I'll cover its search capabilities. I'm going to show you a piece on the online visitor registration. And I'm also going to give a demonstration of scanning in a visitor's info with a driver's license through the ScanShell 800R. That's part of our hardware integration section. I'm just going to point out now, because we did get some questions in the past over what scanner model that you can use, and there is a particular one. It's the ScanShell 800R, which is provided by a company called Card Scanning Solutions. I'm going to start out with some of the admin setup you can do with visitor tracking. There are 5 drop-downs associated with visitor tracking. Those are the access level of the visitor, department. Now the department is of the person being visited, not the visitor. Visitor ID type, visitor tracking priority, and visitor type. The visitor type is covered in the online visitor registration piece. So I'm going to go over to the admin side now, and we'll go into the drop-down dictionaries. And 3 of them are covered right in a row here: visitor ID type, visitor tracking priority, and visitor type. One of these 3 that I'm going to cover is the tracking priority. Now, beyond just adding and deleting from this dictionary, like any other drop-down dictionary in the admin side, there's an additional feature. Now, after you've added your options, which right now I have VIP and standard for priority, from this drop-down you can then select one of those. And for VIP, I typed in an instruction, which is have security guard guide visitor to destination. Now, this instruction will show up whenever somebody chooses VIP access for their, or priority for their visitor. So it's pretty straightforward. Just I'll just give a brief example here for standard. If you want to say give limited access as the instruction and then click the update button, that instruction will apply now to my standard priority. Again, you can add whichever priorities you want, and you can edit these instructions, or you don't even have to have an instruction if you don't want one. So the next drop down I'm going to cover, if I scroll all the way up here, is the access level. Again, there's another additional feature beyond just adding and deleting from this drop-down dictionary, which is the color code. Now, this color code will appear on a badge that you have the ability to print out with visitor tracking. So if I just click edit on one of my access levels here, you'll see a color cube. So if you just left click on there, you can associate a color with the access type. So for limited access, we have the color red. Click update, and we can see that color there. So in a little bit I'll be showing you what the badge looks like on the screen, and basically you're going to get this color border. So if you have visitors walking around with the badge, it's very easy to know which type of access you've allowed them. Next, I'm going to go into field definition configuration. So group setup and then field definition configuration. Choose your group. It's going to be a module for visitor tracking, and there's 2 pages where you can do some customization. I'm going to start out with the visitor tracking page. The visitor tracking page is where you'll be able to see who's currently checked in. So from here you see the fields that will be on the visitor tracking screen. If there's any field you want to hide, simply uncheck the visible. If there's any fields you want required, simply check off validation. And then in the custom label, if you want to edit a label, you can change the name of that field right here. And then with any of your changes, just click save. The other page that you can do this is, there's a separate page for adding the visitor. So same rules apply. If you want to hide, just uncheck. If you want to require the field, check off validation. And if you want to edit the name of that field, you can do so here in the custom label section. And once again, save. For the online visitor registration, there's a link for that piece. When you go to that piece, you may be prompted with the report exec login and ask for a username and password. If you want that turned off, there's a couple places where you can control that. From system-wide setup, go to module authentication, and there's one for online visitor registration. So if you're getting that login screen asking for username and password and you want that turned off, make sure it's unchecked here, authentication required. And then also there's one other place that controls this. If you go to system settings, scroll all the way down, and you will see it here, force password login on online visitor tracking. So make sure that's unchecked too if you're getting that login screen. With that being said, we'll switch over to the user side. Visitor tracking will be found here in modules, visitor tracking. So this screen that you're looking at is where you can see who's checked in. So currently I have Bob John Smith checked in. Now, to add a brand new visitor, click Add New Visitor. And we're going to say I have an individual of the name Michael Allen here as a visitor. The system does a search to see if the individual already exists. I was unaware that this person already existed. I want to do a brand new, so Michael Allen, so we'll say this is a slightly different person. So I'm going to close out of here. But notice you do have the option. It's recognizing any context put into report exec, whether it be through a report or another module. So then we get the option to fill out priority. I'm going to go with the give him VIP. And again, that instruction we filled out here, you can click on the magnifying glass and read your instruction. Have security guard guide visitor to destination. Access level, we'll give him full access. And remember, this full access is associated with the blue color, so when I get to the badge, you'll see that take effect. ID type presented, we'll say he presented his student ID card and enter a number. Now this temp badge number field, there's actually a setting within the group on the admin side. I have it set to automatic. You can put it to manual, but when you print out the badge, it'll automatically take the next sequential badge number. So I have it on automatic. Business name, we'll say he's with Competitive Edge, so CESI. The next field is pretty straightforward, the address of the individual. So 120 South Main Street. We'll say he lives in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And then below that you get the visiting who. So who Michael Allen is visiting, we'll say he's visiting John Smith. And we'll say John Smith is in the education department. And John's phone number. Below that, you have the option to say when you expect Michael Allen to arrive. We'll say we're doing this live, so I can skip over this field for now. But then I can say when we expect Michael to leave for the day. So here it's about a little after 11, so we'll say he's going to be here for a couple hours, so he'll leave at 1 p.m. And checked in location, we'll say he checked in at the front lobby. But this is nice, you get to say where he checked in and then where he's destined to go. So let's say he's heading over to meet John Smith in the education office. And then you have reason to visit, free text, so I'm just going to say, saying hello. We'll say Michael arrived here in a vehicle, so he needs parking, and I can enter his vehicle information. Plate number, the vehicle state, the vehicle year, we'll say he's got a 2008 blue Honda. After you enter the vehicle information, remember to click save so that you save that vehicle info. Okay, with all that detail put in, I'm working today with a laptop that has a webcam built in. So notice here we have capture ID picture. So I'm going to click that, and that's going to activate my webcam. and you'll get to see me. And look into the smile, look into the camera, have the visitor smile, and upload that. Hello, everybody. And now we will check in the individual. You get the option to tweak the time if you need to. We'll say we're doing this live, so I'll just say okay. And I have to emphasize, but beyond just checking in, there's a submit button that I'm going to get to in a couple seconds to make the check-in official. But after you click check-in, you do have the ability to print out that badge that I've been speaking of. So there's a couple ways to take a look at it. So I'm going to first do the PDF version here, so that's going to open up the badge on the computer screen. You get the name of the visitor, who he's visiting, John Smith. John Smith is in the education department. Here's that automatic badge number. And then the estimated time of departure, which is I listed as 1 p.m. And then you get the blue border. So if you print off this badge, everybody will know that Michael Allen has been granted full access. These other buttons, you also have this printer button. So if you just click print, this will send it directly to your printer without having to do any print preference or anything of that nature. So you might want to buy a badge printer with some type of sticker label. There's no specific type that you have to purchase. It's up to you what type of badge printer you buy. And then we also have a delete button if it was a mistake entering the person, and an edit if you need to fix any of those mistakes. Okay, so as I mentioned, after you check in, to make it official, you hit the submit button. So to find that button, just scroll down a little bit here and click submit. And now it'll be official that Michael Allen is checked in. So I'm at the visitor tracking screen. I can see I have 2 visitors now, one of them being Michael Allen. Here's his business name, CESI. He's destined to go to the education office. He checked in at 11:10 a.m. today. We expect him to leave at 1 p.m. Reason, just saying hello. He's visiting John Smith in the education department, and here's John Smith's phone number, and Michael did require parking. So you can see a lot of information about that visitor right from the screen. I'm also going to note that if you just click on Michael's name, you can see all that info we entered, including the vehicle at the bottom. Now when Michael leaves for the day, we will check him out. So all you need to do is from the screen is just click check out. So if you're doing this in live time, you can just say okay. Again, if you need to tweak the minutes or the hours, you can do so. And Michael's been checked out. Now the next thing I'm going to do is if you get a group of people come into your facility at one time, so we'll still click on add new visitor. And for my example, I'm going to say we have a family by the last name Nelson. So let's say we get 3 people that come in at once. So first I'm going to enter Alan Nelson. And if you want to enter any of the other information about Alan, you can do so. I'm just going to leave it as simple as first and last name and click check in. And let's say we have his wife, Martha Nelson. The key to this is not hitting that submit button. I'm just entering each individual, clicking check in, but I'm not submitting it yet. And we'll say we have their daughter Susan Nelson. And check in her. So now we got 3 people that are ready to be checked in at once. And one other question that's been coming up while I've been doing the visitor tracking webinars is, what if they're all visiting the same person? Well, you only have to put the person they're visiting in once. So if they're visiting John Smith, we can type in here, and that'll apply to all 3 of them. So I got who they're visiting, and now I'm going to submit this, and we can see all 3 checked in at once. Now when they leave, you do have to check them out individually. So when Alan leaves, check out. Martha, check out. And Susan leaves, check out. Okay, I'm going to add another visitor by the name of Charles Green. So visitor comes into my facility by the name of Charles Green. I tab out, and he definitely exists in our system, but the key thing I want to point out is that he also is marked with caution, trespass, and BOLO. So he's been inserted into all three of these in our system. So for my example, all three came up. Any one of these will trigger that alert. So if you get this, I'm going to click on his name. I confirm that that's the person. I still want to click the check-in button because this is going to allow me to see those alerts. So this person has alerts, read now. Yes, I want to read those, so I click yes. And now I'll be able to find out the important information that I need to know. So the caution associated with Charles is that he carried a weapon, a knife. So, immediately this is a red flag that we may want to ask this individual to leave, or I may want to get backup. Also, for my example, I can look at the report history of this individual. So he's been entered into a BOLO in the past. And in my example here in this BOLO, it stated that they were trying to track down this individual for unpaid fines. So this is a great feature, these alerts, because if something like this would come up and the individual checks into your facility, well, now you have this individual. You can call, you can ask the appropriate people to perhaps deal with the individual at this time, or ask him to leave. I'm still going to click submit. Like I said, you might have asked the person to leave, but if you do allow the person in and you submit his information, you'll see here any people with the BOLO, caution, or trespass alert appear in green. And then we also have this kind of orange or salmon type color that recognizes late checkouts. So we expected Bob Smith here to leave at 8 a.m. It's 11:17 by me. So it's just kind of alerting us that we expected him to leave earlier and he's still here. If you're a supervisor or administrator of Report Exec, you have a couple additional functions that you can do. One of them is delete a visitor from the screen. So if you just click on the individual that you want to delete, check his name, and delete schedule visitor. The other thing you can do is you can edit past checkout times. Now, by default, you're looking at the currently checked in. Now, this is a toggle switch right here. So if you click on this, show past checked out visitors, I'm now viewing past checked out visitors within the last 12 hours. Also want to note that you can change how far back you want to go, whether it be 24 or 48 hours. You can decide how many hours back you want to go. So now I'm viewing the last 24 hours of visitors. And again, as a supervisor or administrator of Report Exec, you can edit the past checked out times. So with Michael Allen, he checked out at 11:13 a.m. If you click on that, you do have the ability to make a change to that time. I do want to just notify you guys, please be confident in your change here, because there's no way to say, well, what did we originally check them out at? Because we trust that because you're a supervisor or administrator, that you're capable to decide when these changes should be made. So you are editing the raw data here. So let's say I just need to tweak this a few minutes, I can do so and make that change. I'm going to switch back to view the currently checked in visitors. I'm now going to get into searching our visitor history. There's a couple ways to get to it. One of them is nice, it's right from the visitor tracking module in the upper right here. Click on full search. Notice that by default we're going to be searching today's visitors. Now you can uncheck the date range. For example, let's say you just want to see anybody who ever visited Building A. You would click Go Search and all those visitors would come up. But if you do want to just search a current date range, you can do so as well. So I do want to search just today's visitors. I'm just going to point out the options that you have to search by, which is name, ID number, business name, the badge number, date and time, the department of where they visited, who they visited, locations that they visited. So I'm just going to click search, and it'll simply search today's visitors. Let me take out that location, so I'm searching all locations. And here comes all the visitors that checked in today. Now you can print this list. A feature that I really like is being able to export it to Excel. So if you want to email off the list of visitors for a certain time or category of visitors, you can export that data to Excel. And Excel is also nice because if there's any field you're not concerned with, or you want to move around any of the information, you can handle that with Excel. Now you can also get to searching visitors through the searches on the left side of the panel of your dashboard. There's searches, visitors. And the search screen functions the exact same way I had just shown. The next piece I'm going to introduce is an online visitor registration link that you can provide. Basically, you can provide this to people outside of your Report Exec users. For example, if you wanted to hand this off to a principal of a college, university, a manager, or a CEO of a company, whatever it may be, you can provide this to people that are not, Report Exec users. So first thing they're presented to do is select the group and then click Register Visitors. I'm going to check in a single person, so I'll go with individual. Now for my example, I'll say that I'm the manager of a production department, and I'm going to schedule a visitor to meet with another employee today. So I'm Joe Florence, so I enter my name here. And I said I'm with the production department. If I want to enter my phone number, pretty straightforward, I can do that. Mobile phone if I want to do that. And the thing I want to focus in, that the nice feature here is the email address. So I'm going to insert my email address. And it asks me to type it twice. The cool thing with this is when the Report Exec users officially check in my visitor, I'm going to be alerted by email that he's at our facility. If I want to type in the supervisor name, I could do that. So next we get to the visiting info. So the visitor type, we'll say it's a business associate named Dave Nelson. And here's the priority, just like we saw when adding a visitor. We'll give them VIP priority. The business name if we want to enter that. The time he's arriving today, so we'll say we expect him at noon today. And he should be here for about 3 hours, so he'll leave at 3 p.m. They will need parking, yes. And then here's where you can say who they're visiting. So he may be visiting me, the person that's setting up this visitor, or maybe he's visiting somebody else. So with my example, I said we're going to say he's visiting another employee. So that other employee is John Smith, who also works in the production department. John's number. This field is nice here, the reason for visit, because with that email that I'm going to receive, this will also be noted in there. So we're going to say meeting on second quarter plan. You got the spell check there if you need it, and we'll continue on. Now because I said needs parking, we get to fill out the vehicle info. So we got we'll say a Hyundai 2009. It's green, license plate number, and the license plate state, Wisconsin, we'll say. And I click add vehicle and continue on. So now we just review all our information. So I'm the one who set up this visitor registration. The visitor is Dave Nelson. He's a business associate. We've given him VIP access. He's with the American Security Company. He's expected to arrive at noon today, and he'll be here until 3 p.m. Meeting on the second quarter plan. He needed parking. He's visiting John Smith, who's another employee of the production department, and there's John's phone number. There's the vehicle info. So I approve of everything, so I say continue. Just note if you needed to make any adjustments, you could go back or modify. My visitor registration has been submitted, so I can say done. So now the people using the visitor tracking module will be able to see that Dave Nelson is scheduled here to visit at noon today, and the reason is for a meeting on the second quarter plan. He's visiting John Smith in production and John Smith's phone number. So when Dave arrives at the facility, we click check in. So it's 11:26, so Dave's gotten here early. That's perfectly fine. We say okay. And just like all my previous visitors, don't forget to submit it when it's official. So come down here and click submit. So at this point, Dave Nelson is officially checked in as a visitor. And now I'm just going to show you an example of what that email notification would look like. This email is a notification to inform Joe Floriance that the following visitor, Dave Nelson, checked in, and you'll see the appropriate date and time here. And then reason for visit, I had typed in meeting on second quarter plan, so I'm reminded of why he was set up here, and maybe it was a while ago, so I may have forgotten. So that's the online visitor registration piece. The next piece is the hardware integration that I'm going to get into. So again, just to emphasize, it is the ScanShell 800R. That's the model that you need in case if you want to take advantage of this nice feature, whereas you can just simply scan in somebody's driver's license and all that info will automatically go into visitor tracking. So I'm going to demonstrate that because I have one of those scanners here today. So I'm going to go back to the visitor tracking module. I'm going to click add new visitor. Now in my hand I have my driver's license, and then I have the scanner plugged into my laptop. It's simply a USB cable, and I don't even have to click anything. I'm just going to insert my driver's license into the scanner, and it's reading the information off of my driver's license. So it's going to pull my name, my photo, my driver's license number, and my address. And it's just finishing up the scan here. It'll take just a few seconds to load that info. And there we go. So automatically pulled that information into here. I'm just going to note that it was the driver's license that I scanned. And to make it official, remember, click check in. And just a little refresher, at this point we do have the ability to print off that badge if you want to. And to make the check-in official, come down here and click that submit button. And I'm now checked in. Hopefully you enjoyed today's presentation and most importantly learned some cool things about the visitor tracking module.